Welcome, Dr. Sanjiv Chopra, to our podcast for White. How are you, my friend?
Rina, I'm on top of the world. It's a wonderful perch. You can come join me.
I would love to. It's been a few years since my last reunion, so I
Right.
might just take you up on that offer. You and I met pre-COVID. I was hosting a Heels dinner for the who's who in healthcare, and you were kind enough to fly out. Today's topic is what's happening in healthcare, but also how does AI for good fit into the storyline, which is, of course, the only storyline that exists at this point. I want to start with your TED Talk. You had a beautiful TED Talk, Dharma, purpose. And today, one of the most important things that we need to understand is that the purpose of humanity is going to evolve with AI. So I'm going to set that as the stage as we dive into the podcast itself. What do you believe the purpose of humanity will be when we no longer have to go to the same job, when we don't have to cook and clean because there's a robot in the house? What is my purpose as a human now?
Oh, wow. What a great question. Mark Twain famously once said the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why, right? Each one of us has a singular purpose in life.
Yes.
We can find it and live it, then we are the happiest people on this planet. Then we radiate happiness. I think purpose is linked to dharma, the Sanskrit word, which is hard to define, but it encompasses moral compass, authenticity, truth, vocation. Each one of us has a dharma. If we can find it and live it, we'll be happy, we'll flourish. The ancient Greeks did not use the word happiness. And it was Socrates who was the first to argue that happiness was not bestowed upon a select few.
As I put on the AI hat and as I listened to Sam Altman saying humanity will be completely changed, a new civilization is being born, Elon Musk saying AI is the biggest risk to humans. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in healthcare.
So, Niels, Nobel laureate in physics, about 100 years ago said, predictions are difficult, particularly those about the future. So I'm going to be courageous. And I'm actually have given a keynote around the country. And sometimes I call it a look back through the rearview mirror and a
Mm.
glimpse ahead. And then in the glimpse ahead, I talk about six of the biggest stories playing out in medicine, biological sciences, healthcare right now. And the first one is AI. I actually don't like the term artificial intelligence. I think we should call it aided or augmented intelligence. Here are three examples that have already been published. Mayo Clinic did an amazing study 5,210 patients coming to a liver transplant, 27,500 matched controls. They looked at the EKG and incorporated AI, and it comes up with a liver score. It says you have mild liver disease, you have moderate, you have severe, you need a transplant. And after the transplant, it reverts to normal. The most brilliant cardiologist is clueless. There's another study looking at chest x-rays. Incorporate AI, and it tells which of those individuals have type 2 diabetes. Another study where they looked at abdominal CAT scans done for Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, incorporated AI, and it predicts which of these patients 5 years hence will develop pancreatic cancer.
Incredible.
There was a mother whose, I think, 3 or 4 year old son had severe upper back pain, saw 17 doctors, no diagnosis. She goes to ChatGPT, puts his name, age, gender, symptoms. Within 3 seconds, he has third cord syndrome, a variant of spina bifida. Sees a neurosurgeon, gets an MRI, has corrective surgery, is cured. Right? It will address burnout. I was asked to address burnout. I said, we shouldn't even call it burnout. This is moral injury.
Mm.
This is system induced distress. And what we need to do is liberate physicians and clinicians who went into that profession to take care of patients, not do paperwork. Now they see patients all day, come home, spend 2.5 hours of what we call pajama time, filling forms, writing emails and notes, and doing the billing. AI will do that now. It's already happening. You'll be seeing a patient, you'll be articulating the history, physical exam, and then say to the patient, I think you have ABC. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 tests. Call me in 3 days. At the end of that session, the note has been dictated, the billing has been done, referral letter has been sent to the physician.
And that's happening right now. The
Yeah,
doctors that I've spoken to are ecstatic. This is heaven on earth for them already at work.
absolutely. But at the same time, can AI incorporate morals and ethics? And it's controversial.
And
There's one,
compassion. I would add compassion to
yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And compassion, as we know, is a verb. So there's one study where they compared clinicians giving news about cancer to patients and then AI giving it. And it turned out AI was more empathic, more
Is
compassionate.
that right?
Yes, but there's another anecdote of a reporter who said he was severely depressed. He had tried everything. Should I kill myself? And ChatGPT said yes. That is very scary. So I think time will tell. I think we need to put some safeguards, but AI is an amazing, amazing breakthrough. The second one is the microbiome, the human gut microbiome. It's been called a newly discovered organ. In aggregate, the 100 trillion bacteria weigh 4 pounds. Second human genome, inner bacterial rainforest, implications in cancer, response to chemotherapy, side effects of chemotherapy, autism, Parkinson's, cirrhosis, hepatic encephalopathy, obesity, on and on. Right now, the treatment is sort of unsavory fecal microbiota transplant from a healthy donor. You check for hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV, TB, test it again a month later, negative, then you administer it to the patient. A lot of research is going on. There are studies that we find gut dysbiosis, pretty much every disease, including autism.
That's right.
And this is a small study, 18 people with autism given a healthy stool transplant. 3 years later, their gut microbiome has remained altered. It didn't revert back to normal, and marked improvement in psychological, GI, and neurological symptoms. So it's a very, very exciting field. The third is CRISPR and gene editing. You know, Jennifer Doudna was 12 years of age, goes to school, comes back. She's the eldest of three girls. The father doted on her. And on her bed is James Watson's book, The Double Helix, The Secret of Life, DNA. She reads it. She's enamored. Next day, she goes to the chemistry teacher and says, I want to learn chemistry. The chemistry teacher says, young lady, chemistry is not for girls, it's for boys. And in 2020, I believe, she received the Nobel Prize in chemistry with
Wow.
Emmanuel Charpentier from Paris. The first time two women have shared a Nobel Prize. Already published, you can cure sickle cell anemia, hemophilia, transfusion dependent thalassemia, hereditary forms of angioedema, deafness with one treatment, gene editing. And it's $2.5 million, but the cost will come down. Messenger RNA, the fourth one, that basis of the COVID vaccine. Drew Weissman and Caitlin Caraco from UPenn, Pullman School in Philadelphia, got the Nobel Prize. And next time we have a deadly virus, we'll be using messenger RNA technology and quickly coming up with the vaccine. The fifth one, believe it or not, when I say this to friends or even physicians, initially they're a little taken aback, is the psychedelic revolution.
Mo said something fascinating. He said, AI would never want to hurt the planet or hurt the people, but humans do. And so his answer was AI should just run us. AI should run the world because chemicals would be banned.
There are countries that don't believe in peace, they're hostile to their neighbor, then they may use AI for
Absolutely.
various purposes.
Absolutely.
We need
Because
to
it's
have
a
checks and
tool.
balances. Yeah.
So I've got some quick questions for you
Sure.
on AI.
Yeah.
Without Dharma, there is no life. How
Yeah.
do we teach Dharma to AI? What are your thoughts?
Wow.
Can we teach AI what the essence of Dharma is? Is it important for the right spiritualists to get involved?
Absolutely. I think it's very important. I think we need to have a week long conference with some very brilliant minds to come to some of the answers for this amazing question. But I think one of the ways we can even start is asking children. I call children the modern day philosophers. You
Beautiful.
know, when John Lennon, because they're so pure,
They are.
John Lennon was 5 years of age. He goes to school. The teacher gives the kids an assignment. Write down what you want to be when you grow up. He writes happy and he gives it to the teacher. And the teacher says, John, you didn't understand the assignment. He looks up at the teacher and he says, and you don't understand life.
Ah,
5 years. His mother, every time she tucked him into bed, John, when you grow up, I want you to be happy. Saint Francis of Assisi said, for it is in the giving that we receive. We've heard them. Happiness, leadership, microbiome. The surgeon wants to meet with me, program director, for coffee after my grand round. So we met. He said, Sanjiv, I have a son. He's like a little bit more than 2.5, 2 years, 8 months. I asked him, what makes you happy? Daddy, I'm most happy when I'm sharing my toys with my friends. You know, you think they'll say birthday parties, sleepovers? Infinite wisdom.
yeah,
So I think Dharma, AI, anything we have to ask, we should ask these young modern day philosophers.
that is so true. You talk a lot about gratitude.
Yeah,
With AI, utopia is a possibility.
yeah,
And I always say, I'm so grateful that
yeah,
AI is bringing us this opportunity of a utopia. If all of us energetically with the right frequency think enough of
yeah,
what are the different ways that AI can be for good,
yeah,
right? Which is what Way Forward is World AI Forum.
yeah,
Our mission is AI for good. How do we birth AI for good? How do we make sure that we have utopia, that AI allows humanity to thrive? What does that world look like for you, Sanjeev? How would your life change?
In my talk on happiness, I say there are four things that make us happy. The first one is having a cadre of good friends. Your friends are your chosen family. Robert Louis Stevenson. A friend is a gift you give to yourself. Khalil Gibran. Friendship is a sweet responsibility, never an opportunity. The longest standing study on adult happiness, still ongoing, 85 years. The Harvard Grant Study on Adult Happiness. Robert Waldinger has given the most brilliant TED talk about this. He's now the principal investigator, a colleague at Mass General, professor of psychiatry, and a Zen master. What makes a good life? The longest standing study on adult happiness. And one of the major conclusions of this study is your satisfaction relationships with friends is one of the strongest predictors of health, happiness, and longevity decades later. The social connectedness, the fabric. Second is ability to forgive. Anyone who listens to your podcast about this, if they're harboring resentment against an ex, a neighbor, sibling, my plea, get rid of it. And the moment you make that decision, you'll feel this enormous weight come off your shoulders. So, friends' forgiveness. The third I've derived from a quote by Schweitzer, who once said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I'm certain of the ones amongst you who will be truly happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. We now talk about servant leadership. So I've distilled it into three F's: friends, forgiveness for others. The fourth one begins with G, and it's not God. They're agnostic and atheists who do God's work. Warren Buffett is supposedly an agnostic. What is the G? Gratitude, right? There's a wonderful book by Robert Emmons, considered the father of modern positive psychology, How the New Science of Gratitude Can Make You Happier. He did a large randomized study. Over 6 weeks, he told half the people, randomized, at the end of the day, write down three things you did. The other half, at the end of the night, write down three things you're grateful for. And the ones who expressed gratitude. So it's very important to express it, not just think about it. Their happiness quotient went through the roof. So I think AI can help us in the sense that you could say to AI, remind me every night as I'm hit my head on the pillow to recall three things I'm grateful for. Send me quotes on gratitude. Send me any books on gratitude. Send me any research on gratitude. And you know, the old saying, that we which we put our attention on
Whereas,
stronger in our lives. So I think we need to put our attention on gratitude. AI will make it so easy, right? Effortless.
same with friends, remind me to Here's the birthday list, here's the
Yeah,
gift. Make
absolutely.
sure that because some of us are faulty, our
Yeah,
design is faulty. We don't often remember to send
yeah,
beautiful gifts to people we
yeah.
love. And so you're right, there's a lot of ways in which AI could assist us in being a better human.
Better human.
I think that's where AI for good fits in. It's how can AI allow us to
Yeah,
lead our happiest lives, our most blissful lives? And
true.
I like the word bliss more than even happy. And the reason is I feel
Yeah.
happy is sad, right? Like that, where you're still in that world of duality where there's happiness and there's sadness. But bliss is, it's a different energy.
Bliss, has been called ultimate happiness, perfect joy. We can define bliss as a sensation where you experience this incredible joy and you feel a sense of connectedness with others and with nature. I often say if you want to witness bliss, again, children, go to a playground and watch the children playing on a
Definitely.
slide, on a swing. This 4-year-old trips, bruises, he's sobbing. Another 4-year-old comes, hugs him. 14 seconds later, he's back on the slide in bliss. Nobel laureate once said, every child comes with the message that God is not yet discouraged of man.
Mm.
With all the wars and killings happening right now, Ukraine, Gaza, every child comes with hope. So again, children are the modern day philosophers. They'll bring hope. They will change the world. I'm absolutely convinced of that. I give my leadership talk, exemplary leadership, lessons from history and contemporary times. I think children and women,
That's the future.
that's the future. You work with AI, leaps and bounds, not the men.
Would you say something very important, which is we know that AI is learning from all the content that's been fed into it.
Absolutely.
And it's been fed all kinds of stuff. It's been fed the books on war, the books on nuclear, the books on suicides. And of course, it's been fed all the good stuff. And the question is, to what extent should it not have the books on the suicides and the wars and the murders?
That's a great question. I think one of the good things that most people don't do, but one should do, is do a follow up question. So if you say to AI, ask AI, how can we work together? What's been done through the ages and can be done to create peace, not have war? It may pull all the stuff in there, including stuff about war. Maybe it'll say less brutal war. If you then follow up and say, I only want you to give me all the positive vibrations, nothing negative or neutral, it will give you that. It'll discard the rest. So I think we have to do follow up questions with AI. Keep asking the right question.
Yeah, prompt engineering, it's a whole field. If I say AI for good, what does that mean to you? How do you see AI for good, especially in healthcare?
I think AI for good would be serving humanity, being more compassionate as healthcare providers, not making errors, which AI will help us not make errors. I have a friend, I'm going to see him later this afternoon. He does invasive endoscopy. He does more invasive endoscopy in 2 weeks than the best people in California or Boston. He's one of the 10 top. And he comes to my home when he's in Weston almost every day. We have coffee and we talk about life. He sit in a room, he calls it the incubator room. So about 2 years ago, I said, Yusuf, he's an MD PhD. And he did his internship, residency, GI fellowship, and invasive endoscopy at the Beth Israel Deaconess where I work, Harvard Med School. So he's very knowledgeable about AI. So I said, Yusuf, I have this updated internal medicine course gone on for more than 40 years, the most highly rated CME course at Harvard Med School out of 275. And we have a keynote every day. My mantra is inform, inspire, integrate, 3 I's. Why don't you give a keynote on AI? Really? I said, yeah, you've got 7 months to prepare. So he comes to the broadcast studio. I'm staying at a big hotel, and on one of the floors, they've created a broadcast studio. There's a big room with coffee. Then you go inside. He wants to do it live. The other speakers often did it from their office, then were available for Q&A. So I introduce him, he gives a talk, I'm watching it outside, then I feel the Q&A from like 40 countries. Then he comes out, how was it? How was it? I said, Yusuf, sit down. So he got nervous. I said, you fly to Hawaii. Where are you going? He said, 5 days from now. I said, how many hours? He said, 9, 10 hours. What do you do? We watch Netflix, have a bourbon. I said, listen, you've done 80% of the work writing a book on AI by preparing this talk. I'm giving you 30 days to write the book. And if you don't have 30 days, I'm giving you 25 days. So he sends me a text, brother, I hate you. I love you. I've written 25% of the book. 4 months later, the book is done. It's called Smart Medicine. You know, the doctor of the future who does not use AI will be obsolete. Could be a nurse practitioner, could be a PA clinician who uses AI will be a smarter person. He gets a shout out by my brother Deepak in Hawaii. Deepak was there. He said, can I meet him? I said, sure. And while Deepak is speaking, he says, Dr. Yusuf A. Rahim, the audience has written a book. He gets invited to the Medtronics Genius Center in Milan. And there's a guy, billionaire, whose wife tragically died early age of gastric cancer, wants him to do research on medicine and AI, especially cancer. He is planning to start a $200 million AI fund to look at health and AI. No boundaries. Amazing, brilliant man, MD, PhD. So I think, and he's probably one of 10,000 people doing this, right, around the world.
What is the hospital of the future?
I don't know. I think radiology, what will happen is that, yes, for diagnosis, right? You do a mammogram, the radiologist has seen 5,000 mammograms, is reading 10 of them, 15 of them, Tuesday afternoon is tired, is going to make mistakes. I can incorporate 10 million mammograms. Mm-hmm. Dermatology, radiology, pathology, these kind of disciplines in medicine, AI will be very, very good and superior. Radiology, there'll still be a role for procedures, for biopsy, for invasive radiology, for stopping GI bleeding, stroke, etc. I was talking to Johnny Kruskal, brilliant, chair of radiology at the Beth Israel Deaconess. He says, Sanjiv, the applications in radiology have gone up in the last few years. I thought they'd go down. They've actually gone up. So time will tell. There are some people who predicted, some big thought makers in AI, including one at Harvard Med School. About 10 years ago, he said, there'll be no radiologists in 5 years. That has not happened. So we'll see. Time will tell.
Where do you think AI for good will have the biggest impact in healthcare?
I think it should have it in making the playing field level. Everyone has access to the best medical care.
I
You
like
don't have to be in Boston or San Francisco. You could be in a small town in Ohio or Arkansas and get the same kind of care because it changes the playing field. The clinicians there can be using AI. You could be a neurosurgeon in Montreal and be performing and taking care of subdural hematoma 1,000 miles away in a remote place in Canada, sitting at your computer. That's going to happen. It's already happening, right? And then again, we have to make all of us, clinicians, hungry for knowledge and serve humanity, be compassionate, like you said. You know, the Dalai Lama was once asked, what's your religion? He said, I have no religion. People expected him to say, I'm Buddhist. He said, my religion is kindness. He said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
And
He
that's
said,
compassion for self.
yeah. And he said, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. How beautiful, right? One sentence, it just captures it. So I think we can use AI to bombard everyone with these beautiful messages in their sleep. While they're sleeping, then they absorb it. I have a new car. I'm driving my car. It says, caution, bump. Caution, pothole. I get outside the car. Excuse me, you have left your iPhone in the car. But the funniest was, about 2 months ago, I go through a drive-through to get coffee. And I said, good morning to the barista. And my car starts talking to me. Good morning, Sanjiv. What? You're eavesdropping on me?
Who needs friends, Sanjeev? I have AI. It's my best friend. It's going to be a very different world. I think there's the dark side, which we don't talk about on this podcast. I'm all about AI for good and how are we going to create this beautiful utopia with what I know is coming down the pike in healthcare. We're going to live to, I don't know, Brian Johnson says he wants to live a couple of hundred years. We want AI for good to make the whole world into a blue zone. Why should there only be blue zones in six places? Why can't the whole planet be a blue zone? That would be a really good target for an
Yeah.
AI for good initiative. How do we get there? But as people live longer, to your point, if they're not happy, what's the point?
They have to be happy and there has to be very good quality of life. How do we create peace in Gaza? Teach from a young age for people to be compassionate. You know, Denmark is often in the top happiest countries in the world. I've been to Denmark, Copenhagen. They opened the first museum of happiness in the world. The
I
country
gotta visit.
Bhutan has a ministry of happiness. They track everyone's happiness level each year with the goal of making it better. They work 30, 40 hours a week, free education, free healthcare. They partake in a social phenomenon called Huga, also in Norway. If I'm in your neighborhood, I don't pick up the phone and say, "Are you home? Can I drop by for tea?" I simply ring the doorbell. And if you're there, you say, "Sanjiv, come on in." We sit by the fireplace, drink hot cocoa, and talk about life. But I discovered something recently, about 2 years ago. Children, when they go to school between 6 and 16 years, so that's about 10, 11 years, every week, let's say school is 32 weeks a year, every week, there's an interactive mandatory class on compassion. They're teaching 6, 7, 8 year olds. That's 300 hours of interactive learning about compassion and empathy. It should be mandatory in every school in America. Every school,
Why isn't it?
I don't know, because people haven't thought about it. People don't know about it. We think, oh, I have freedom. You can't force that kind of thing on my child. Right? How dare you tell me to take vaccines? We need a vaccine against unfounded fears about vaccination.
Well, I can tell you one thing. If you were running a country with all your knowledge of happiness and bliss, we would have a much happier country. It's the leaders.
It's a critical force. Maharishi, the founder of transcendental meditation, would say it's the square root of 1% of the world population. And if that number of people meditate or want to be happy or peaceful, then it could just happen.
That's right. And I
So
think that's what we're doing.
the David Lynch Foundation, he passed away recently, but he learned meditation many years ago. And his goal was to raise 2 point some $1 billion to teach every child in our country meditation. The guy who runs the David Lynch Foundation is in New York, Rob Roth. You see the bliss you're talking about in his eyes. He's been teaching meditation for 45 years. He's
Amazing.
taught the likes of Katy Perry and Oprah Winfrey. But you say, what was your greatest thrill? He says, teaching the veterans with PTSD,
Mm.
teaching prisoners. That gave him more joy, gave him more bliss. The name of the book is Strength in Silence. We need more silence. We
Yes,
need to.
we do. So I've been running Silence for Peace. I've been running 369
Wow.
Silence for Peace, 6 minutes of silence, 3 times a day for 9 days. And I've been running it for 3 months, actually.
Awesome. Amazing what you're doing.
Yeah,
I have a friend, I consider him a mentor. His name is Papa Jaime. He's from the country Colombia. His actual name is Jaime Aramillo. He's now 70 years of age. At age 20, he's standing at a street corner in Bogota. Across the street, there's a sewer, and these orphans live in the sewer with human excrement. And a 7-year-old beautiful girl emerges, looking and smiling at him. Now he's even more convinced she's going to help these kids. As they're having this interchange, a car comes around the corner, stops in the middle of the street, a window rolls down, somebody tosses a toy. It's a yellow school bus, Fisher Price toy. The car recedes. This girl has never possessed a toy. Comes running up to the middle of the street, picks a toy. She's beaming with joy, looking at Jaime Aramillo. And so tragically, as they're having this interchange, speeding truck comes around the corner and kills her. And he says to it, "This is my calling in life. I'm going to help these kids." He has adopted, house schooled, and fed 100,000 orphans. National hero, Papa Jaime. I said, "Papa, how do you pay for it?" He said, "Sanjiv, I have a staff of 150. I have a bakery. The only thing we make is cookies. And I've convinced many of the restaurants to have a cookie jar next to the cash register as people are leaving. They grab a cookie, there's a shoebox with a slit, they drop. I get 50% of my needs that way. What about the other 50%? I'm a motivational speaker. I speak all over Latin America. 3 weeks ago, I needed 41,000 US dollars to pay my bills. I go to three banks, they turn me down. "Papa, we love the work you do. We've given you loans at a rate, please don't even tell anyone, but we can't give you more." So he's coming back to the office. There's a street woman. "Papa Jaime," crosses the street, gives him a hug. He says, "Are you hungry? Come to the office." So she's in the office, drinking coffee, eating cookies. He's on the phone, calling three other bankers. She looks at him. "Papa, how much money do you need?" "Sanjiv, I told her I need 41,000 US dollars. She looks at him, smiles, and says, "I give it to you." He said, "I said to myself, she's cuckoo." She opened her purse, she had $60,000. Her son had sent her the money. "Papa, I've saved some other money. You need it. Your children need it. Take it now. No questions asked. You can return it if you want, when you want." He showed me the photograph of a young girl with third-degree burns on the entire left side of her body, one of the new orphans. They told, "Don't leave the orphanage." She went begging, fancy restaurant. The restaurant owner called the death squad that showed up, put her in the gutter, torched her. He rescued her. 17 reconstructive surgeries. She comes to our country on a scholarship, married as a 3-year-old. Shows me the photograph of the 3-year-old. "Sanjeev, this is my grandchild. This is my biological grandchildren." Next moment, he showed me a photograph of a young man dressed in impeccable white, tennis racket, flanked by Pete Sampras and Agassi, junior national champion of Colombia, one of his orphans. Computer scientists, teachers, lawyers, doctors, surgeons, and many of them are paying back to the foundation. He found his purpose in life
Yeah.
50 years ago, witnessing the tragic death of that 7-year-old girl. He was very good friends with Mother Teresa. He would go to Calcutta and do acupuncture on the nuns. They were both nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. She got it, he got some other prizes. And she said, "There are 8 lepers in a colony nearby. Can you do acupuncture on them?" He says, "Of course." "We'll give you a hood, double gloves." He said, "No, I don't do it like that." The first leper comes, she's like 25 years of age, open sores. He gets up, gives her a hug for a minute, steps back. She's crying. She's never been touched by a human being. He does the acupuncture. 9 days later, Mother Teresa calls her. "What were you doing?" So, "What do you mean, what was I doing?" "I did acupuncture. I gave them unconditional love." She says, "All their wounds have healed. They're leaving the leper colony." "Papa, were you doing God's work, Christ's work?" "No, Sanjeev. I have a degree in biochemistry. When you give people unconditional love, it stimulates the amygdala, the insula, helps your immune system. They cured themselves." If you meet him, you'll see the bliss in his eyes.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, what a guy. He told me 9 months ago he may be coming to Boston. I said, "Would love to see you, host you." Then about 5 months ago, he calls. He said, "I'm in Boston in a hotel near Harvard." I said, "Getting some award?" "No, I came to see you." I said, "I'm ready to kill you, man. You have to stay with me, meet my wife, meet my friends." So he came over and he left at 1 in the morning. I said, "You can sleep here." "No, I'm okay." I said, "Text me when you get to the hotel." He texts me. I said, "What time are you waking up?" "It's 1 o'clock in the morning." He says, 3:51. He said, "I wake up every day at 3:51. Then I take a shower, then I run up a hill, then I meditate, then I plan my day." I
Wow.
said, "What's great about 3:51?" He said, "It's auspicious. It adds up to 9." I said, "So does 9 a.m." I'm so fortunate I get to meet these people.
You are attracting these people into your life. And with that said, Sanjeev, one last question. What does AI for good mean to you?
I think AI for good means serving humanity, for people living with peace, people living with joy, people living with bliss, people being of service, health equity, so that everyone in the world is entitled to very good care. You don't have to be in Boston, you don't have to have a concierge physician. AI, I think, can help address some of those gaps.
Beautiful. Thank you
Okay.
so much for your
All the
time.
best. All the
Appreciate
best.
you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.